Hello, people and bots. Grandpa Canuck here, and welcome to Hearts of Iron, BICE Black Ice mod tutorials. And today we have the German focus tree. Now, black ice changes extensively the focus trees on all the major powers. It limits you to not doing crazy unhistorical. It keeps you in the realm of possible historical stuff. And so the focus trees for the major nations are designed to do that. So here you can see from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and kind of a 7th area here with 2 really low expansions down here. Okay? So, with that in mind, what does each of these areas mean? What's the complexity of the interaction between them? Well, that's my birdies. That's Bonnie and Clyde, 2 green-cheeked conures, and they love to participate in the conversation. So don't be surprised if they fly close to the mic and scream at us a couple of times. Okay, so from right side to left, the major categories are Hitler's speeches, Enter the Rhineland, Wehrmacht Kommando, Align the SS, Kriegsmarine Kommando, Luftwaffe Kommando, Road to I never say this properly. Autarky. So this involves all of the developments to the provinces. This is where you get some of your extra research spots. This is where you get a lot of factories and, well, civilian factories and military factories, as well as things like engine factories. And there's a whole central section here that's dealing with the synthetics. Synthetic oil, synthetic rubber for the most part in those areas there. You can even see one of them is labeled synthetic rubber. Of course, the Luftwaffe Kommando section is all about improvements to the Luftwaffe. So your air war is handled here. You can see it's got a couple of jump downs. So it's got 2 major center areas here. Here you get into doctrines, and it gets into fighters and the breakdown of development of the fighters. This side, tactical air warfare, and the breakdown of your bombers. The bottom of this part of the tech tree, these 2 sides come back together, and this is the advanced stuff. Strategic air effort, jet engines, and the rocketry section. Okay? So when you see things like rocketry, it requires all of the above, the Paramanda Army Research Center and the Luftwaffe expansion. So it has to have this and this. That's what the solid lines mean. Okay? Where the dotted lines are ones that can cross over. Requires one of the following. Okay, so it either takes this one or this one, and then you can jump over. Here, jump here. Okay. Kriegsmarine Commando, of course, is how you're handling your Navy. The top part is fairly straightforward, and then it divides into two major halves with a bit of crossover. Okay. Plan Z, of course, is more involved with surface ships, and U-boat effort, of course, U-boats. Now, this does require one of. This requires the U-boat. Okay. Requires the Z plan. So all these ones, and below them, you're going to have to go through the Z plan. And of course, when you get down here, if it hasn't come about, there's actually a war with the USA. Development here. This section here is about the SS. The SS is got its own development of units, preset units, and what this allows you to do is go into and set up without going through the training process, the SS units. Okay, just to show you that, let's jump into here. Oh, I can't do it because we haven't gone into align the SS. So let's just run this for a day quickly. Okay. So with that in mind, now you can come down. It's a 0-day item. And it opens up this marker on your recruiting area. And it opens up another screen which has units that are identified. And you can click on them when they're green, and there are conditions for each of these units. So depending on how you play the game, some things may be available and some things may not. A lot of them are also time sensitive. So you'll notice 1941, 42, 43, 44, 45. So you can't get these units until you run the appropriate development 41, 42, 43, and then the years 44 and 45 come up after that. So you have to have all these developed to do the 44 and 45 as well. Location here, which is 21 days after the initial 0. Okay. General Bad Tolgs. Oh, my German is terrible. Pardon my accent. Available June 1st, 1936. Heinrich Himmler has to be active. He has to be active for almost all of the SS items. This gives you an extra research slot, which is purely for doctrines. Okay, World War I, World War II. So in this scenario, you have all the World War I doctrines, so it's purely for World War II doctrines. 100%. Okay. Wehrmacht Commando, of course, is Army development. Now, it starts out in kind of two basic sides. The left side is dealing with infantry. The right side here is dealing with armor. Now, armor, there is requires artillery divisions, which is here. Requires all of the following. So it requires all three above it, here, here, and here. So there's a bit of a split here, but this is also on this side. Okay. And these ones require the Panzer II research. Now there's an interesting line here. It looks fairly down, and first-time players of Black Ice mod quite often miss it. And after you get these two initial ones in this area, you can come down to this one, Treaty with the USSR. This is historically what happened. The German and Soviets got together and they created a tank development location, which was actually more in Russia. And they developed things kind of hidden from the Allies' war because of how Germany was being watched in 1936, 37, and even into 38. So this opens up a research slot for tank technologies, as well as gives you some major bonuses. The 225 research for tank technology, 1.5 year ahead of time for medium tanks, which is your Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs. So you can start developing medium tanks long before any of the other developments. This leads to a lower area of really war with the Soviets and how that can play out. There's an option for Turkey down here. So once you've gone through this, requires war with the USSR. Now you can, that's this one right here. Okay. But you can get to war with the USSR obviously without coming down here. But anyway. So improving your supply lines, looting more materials, learning from the Soviets, winter equipment, all things that involve combat really on the Eastern Front. Okay, the war between the front. Recruitable population. Resistance target down 10% for 720 days. That's kind of important, and it's an easy one to overlook. Development of the Panther, development of the Tiger, development of the King Tiger. They're all down here. Heavy tank destroyers. So all of this really comes off of this area here. And of course, down this side, you have mostly artillery developments, motorized developments, etc. It's pretty much more linear, straightforward. Now, there is a slight crossover here, which deals with under the befriend Japan, and coming down, it has to do with sharing, share Enigma devices with Japan is the crossover. So this essentially is all about the Enigma, so the espionage part of the game and perks that gives are down this way, and eventually you can share that with the Japanese. Enter the Rhineland. This is an important German one. In 1936, Germany did not have the ability to put troops in its own country area next to the Rhine River area. This was actually occupied since November 1918 by the Allies. And they had gradually withdrawn all of their troops over there, different countries at different times. Even Canada had a garrison there for a little while, 1918 into 1919. And the whole economic of the area was more or less under the Allies, under the French domain. So the game shows that as the French can use all of the coal and factories and everything else that's there. So Edge of the Rhineland is one of the key early items on the focus tree that you need to pay attention to. A lot of players in their game style, it is the first thing the German player will do because of what it does. Okay, when you read here, it does put the Allied anger up, and if Allied anger goes up high enough, that's when war will start. It doesn't necessarily depend on the world tension. So as you read through this, you can see the various areas which will cut out the resources that France and England are getting from that area, and it will give them back to the Germans. And those military factories. That's 10 military factories that you get by retaking that. Now, it is possible to be confronted by the Allies and you have to back down. It doesn't usually happen in most of the setups unless you start really tinkering with a number of alternate histories that are allowed within Black Ice, and that's an entirely different subject. So it adds political power. The French could get the the remilitarization of the Rhineland. So this does have a minor effect on several other nations. Very, very key focus point. If you don't do it first, you're going to do it soon. You'll almost always do this in 1936, almost right away. Down the center part of this is a number of the political things that Germany did, taking over Austria, the Eastern Claims, which is Memel, reclaiming the Sudetenland, First Vienna Award, the fate of Czechoslovakia. Okay, and coming down here, the pact with the Russians to split Poland, and of course it comes down a solution for Danzig, and then it splits off into the operations into Denmark, Norway, and the operations to war with France and England if it hasn't happened by that time, and around the Maginot Line. And down it comes to the possibility of the Operation Sea Lion, the invasion of England, okay, the Battle of Britain, and ultimately there's a Switzerland option down here as well. So that's an important line that you go through, and it does limit a few things within Black Ice for doing non-historical items, doing things out of order. Taking Poland before doing a number of other things is not always possible. You guys are noisy. Taking Czechoslovakia before Austria is not possible. Taking Memel before taking Austria is not possible. So there's a number of things that are fairly sequential if you want to do that part of the actual history that happened. Now, once you can activate this, you have war with France. This part of the tech tree would open up, and this involves the Balkans. So, Hungary, Romania, and Yugoslavia are all items in here. Pressure on Yugoslavia, aligning Hungary to your side, aligning Romania to your side, which is all historical. You can play with it a little bit and play a little bit of non-historical items there. This line, straight down, deals with the Spanish Civil War. So support the Condor Legion, lessons from the Spanish campaign, and a possible alliance with Spain if those conditions are met. Okay, all after the Rhineland. Rhineland has to happen for all of that. The alliance with Italy, if you wish to progress with that, you can do that. Hitler's speeches is a little one. It only has the 2 items. Oh, I missed one. Open up state affairs. These are political items. That can come up. And there's some late war defensive items in here as well that come up. So, as I was saying, Enter the Rhineland is really key. You need it before you get involved with the Spanish Civil War, really, which usually happens in 37. So across the top, that's your choices, and that's the overall view of the tech tree. Now, there's a couple of things in here which are hidden little gems or hidden little faux pas that you could fall for. Under the developments, the Goering 4-year plan is very, very major. And of course, Goering has to be in use, for that. Now, as you can see, this line comes down here into this area here, and you have to have both these 2 done to get the expansions down here that leads into all of this. So all of these developments, from underground factories to military industry to flak defenses, this is a huge part of your tech tree. It can really add a lot depending on your style. Play with Dominican Republic? No thanks, not my thing. In Mod Road to 56 or Millennium Dawn. Yeah, well, I'm a Black Ice fan. Road to 56 isn't bad. It is a good mod. I'm not going to say anything about it. I don't have enough experience with Millennium Dawn to comment well on it. Road to 56 is very popular and is really good as well. I do like Black Ice though. So, as I was saying, this part of the tech tree has a lot of developments that you will want to get into. And if you don't do this particular one before you relieve Goering from his political posting, and there's an option that comes up to do it, and it looks like it makes a lot of sense. But if Goering isn't in his role, you can't do that, which means you can't do this, which means you can't do any of this below it. So reorganizing the industry, the synthetic factories, all of this is cut off as an option if you don't do this while Goering is in power. So that's very, very crucial. A number of these open up decisions in the game. There's a lot of things in Black Ice that are done with decisions. And of course, one of the important early ones in the first couple of years is the West Wall. It doesn't look like there's anything there. It just says unlocks decision West Wall. But that is very, very important. If you wish to have a defensive wall across from the Maginot Line, it's a must, and then you must do the decision. This, of course, is putting a defensive wall on the Polish side. Yes, birdies. You go play. Go on. We don't need you here screaming in my ear today. Not at this time. As I said, that's Bonnie and Clyde, my 2 green-cheeked conures. They like to talk and be part of the conversation. Okay. The oil developments and the rubber developments here are also crucial in the German war effort. Germany needs to develop synthetic oil and synthetic rubber. And there's various approaches across the top here. And you have some options. You know, must have one, must have one, must have. This is a direct down. These ones have, you know, one up. So you don't have to do necessarily all three of these, but there are benefits and negatives to doing it. As you can see, each of these cut down research time and factory output. So this is diverting things into the use of synthetic materials. So depending on how you want to conduct your war, you may or may not want to go into one or three of all of these. So that's an important decision to make, and it's something that new players need to understand fairly well before you just start choosing. Okay, what effect is it going to have? You are going to have to do this one if you want rubber, the synthetic rubber. Okay, but there are, you know, other great options down here. You know, a free power plant, free storage, free fuel storage. There's lots of good items that you can get through here, but beware of the -3 and 2% items here on your resources. So if you do all of them, you are going to lose 9% of your research speed, 6% of your factory output speed, and 6% of your mineral resource extraction rate if you do all three. So just be aware of that. That might be okay for the way you want to play the game. It might not be okay the way you want to play the game. Okay? This has, you know, one building with synthetic refinery. This gives you 2 synthetic refineries and a synthetic rubber. Okay? But this also gives you research into synthetic. So they are all different options. Now, coming down this way, this is mostly tank improvement. Okay, these two are directly related to tank improvement, and this one is taking over various businesses, which give you improvements to your factory output. 5%, and gets you the CKD advisor, which you can use. And of course, this is only available if you have Bohemia. So in other words, Czechoslovakia. So that's kind of a hidden item as well. Another early one that is good is this Bank of German Aviation. Okay, right after the Luftwaffe Commando. This one is another research slot, which gives you a research slot that's able for air techs and air doctrines. So getting into each of these, if you know you're not going to fight an air war, you probably don't want to get into this one early. If you know you're going to fight an air war, you're probably going to want to get into this before you get into, you know, France tank development or who knows what else. These are choices between different types of fighters and bombers. So you can choose, you know, which type of ground attack, which type of medium bomber, which type of fighter. So that's what all these sideways arrows ones are doing for you in this area here. So you won't be doing both. You'll be doing one line or the other, or you'll do one and cross over. Depends on what you want to build. And everybody has their own opinion on, you know, which historic fighters and bombers versus the alternate ones that could have been produced more. You know, way to go. Will you develop rockets? Will you develop jets? Will you develop, you know, nuclear? Well, these are all choices on the lower part of this part of the tech tree, of the focus tree. Now, once if you determine you're going to play a naval game, this area becomes important. As you get into it, the first big choice, okay, is going to be, do you want to do neither, the one or the both? So the Z plan is surface, the U-boat effort, of course, U-boats. Under the Z plan side, this area here expands out. So really, this line is for battleship development, surface raiders, okay, general naval effort, and there's a line here for carrier development. In the modern battle fleet, it joins back up here. So you can go down the carrier development without going through the battleship and the surface raiders, and you can still get to the modern battle fleet. On the other side, this is just various developments of things that go into U-boats. Right. How do you want to develop the U-boats? There's a few differences, including Spanish U-boat resupply. Argentina U-boat resupply. Interesting. So if you get down here and decide to do this, you can resupply your boats from Spain. Now that might be interesting if you decide to have a war not against France. And of course, Argentina U-boat resupply. Very advantageous having U-boats getting resupplied out of the southern part of South America for raiding the South Atlantic and all of the routes that go around both South America and Africa. We already talked about the alignment of the SS. Under the development of this part of the tech tree, once you get into it, if you're going to go paratroopers, this is a must. Available is Military High Command, Kurt Stewart, okay, and gets the event here. This will get you your first paratroop unit. This adds into other things dealing with Luftwaffe divisions. Okay. And ultimately, the Hermann Goering Panzer Division. Infantry and artillery is straightforward. As I said earlier, the armor, develop the Panzer III or the Panzer IV. You can get bonuses on either one. And we talked very, very importantly about the treaty with the USSR. Okay. That is one side to the other of the German focus tree for Germany in Black Ice. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. This video will be up for a week on Twitch. And it will be on my YouTube channel probably in the next couple of days. We'll get it there. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you taking your time. Leave me some feedback either on Twitch or YouTube. And if you even watch it on Twitch, find my channel on YouTube and give it some support over there as well. Subscribe over there so you will get more notifications as to when more tutorials and other Black Ice related is coming out. Okay, all you people and bots, have a good day. Thanks, and bye-bye.